What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Tech B Swift. Today we rocking out the battle of the phones, which is the iPhone 6s Plus versus the S7 Edge. Little disclaimer, this video is not for you biased out there that only support Apple, that only support Samsung. This is for people out there who want to find out which phone works best for them, why it works best for them, and some of the great features of both phones. So if you want those people who want to rate the video, thumbs down because I said something about Apple or I said something about Samsung, then this video is not for you. You can rate it down if you want, but then you can go kick rocks. So with that out the way, let's jump into what's important. And what's important is these are two powerful devices that were released in 2016 and late 2015, being the iPhone was released in October of 2015. So there's about a 6-month gap in technology between the two phones. But in this day and age, it's not a huge thing because phones come out either yearly or sometimes some companies release twice a year, like Samsung with the S7 and the Note 6. Even though they're two different phones, they're very similar in a lot of ways. So let's jump into it. Now, this video is not going to be spec by spec detail. This is a things that matter video. These are some of the functionalities that either one phone has that the other one doesn't. Some of the advantages and disadvantages of those functions and that functionality, and which phone really will be the best suited for you if you're out there trying to wonder which phone to buy, okay? So, first we look at is the iPhone 7 Edge, the iPhone 6 Plus. This is my phone for play. This is my phone. I just switch back and forth depending on what's going on throughout the day and if I want to play Clash of Clans. So, this phone right here, if you look at them side by side, there's not much difference, right? I mean, if you look at the screen sizes, they're both very, very large screens. But the difference is the S7 Edge is a smaller package, but it has almost the exact same size screen, which makes it easier to hold in the hand, which is a great, great thing when you have a big cell phone. And it's very, very slim. Also, the screen wraps to both sides. So when you're looking at these from the frontal or from the front view, it looks like the iPhone 6s Plus screen is a lot bigger from the width standpoint, but it's really not. They both really have very large screens, and if you're a person who like and enjoy big phones, you'll love both of these phones. So when we look at the phones, the tops are very similar. There's not much up on top. This S7 Edge does have the SD card ejection port right there, and it has a micro SD card. So it has a SIM card slot and the SD card, which is a huge advantage over the iPhone. The iPhone does not have an SD card or the ability to use an SD card. You can use up to a 250 gigabyte SD card in this phone, which increases your storage substantially. The best you can do on the iPhone is get a 128 gig version of the iPhone, okay? So, on the right side, we both have the same power buttons on both sides. The SIM card for the iPhone is on the right-hand side. Just pop it open. There's nothing else to look at. On the bottom of the phones, you have, isn't it amazing how much they look just alike? You have the headphone jack. You have your charging ports. This uses the Lightning charger, which is the proprietary cable from Apple, and this uses micro USB, which is a standard charger that's used for almost all Android phones other than Type-Cs. A lot of tablets, a lot of cameras. So finding these cords is pretty easy. Then you have the speakers on the bottom as well. Neither speaker is great in my opinion. And that's just because I had the iPhone, not the iPhone, I'm tripping. I had the Nexus 6P and I still have it upstairs. And when you have front facing speakers, it beats bottom speakers any day. I mean, there's no comparison, right? So I'm not impressed with either one of these. They do have great quality. For everyday usage is fine, you know, but it's just not gonna sound as good as some of the phones that cater more specifically to sound quality. And then on the left-hand side, you have the volume rocker up and down for both. And then you have the mute button on the iPhone. I actually always like this functionality that you can quickly just hit a button and it mutes all. I think that's really cool. I wish Android would or Samsung would incorporate that. Actually, I wish all Android would incorporate that. Just because I like to be able to quickly see, boom, my sound is off. There's no questions, no interruptions. You don't have that embarrassing moment when you sit in a conference, surrounded by a whole bunch of people and your phone goes off. So, on the back, pretty similar. You got your camera. Both of these phones have a 12 megapixel sensor camera. Both of them have flash. Both of them have 4K capability. Both of them have slow motion recording. The biggest advantage of the two phones would be the S7 Edge and the S7. Even though it's a 12 megapixel camera, the sensor is bigger than the iPhone 6s. So in the daytime, you're gonna get the same picture. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. You know, the S7 Edge or Samsung typically oversaturates their pictures a little bit, so everything is vivid and pops a lot more than on the iPhone. And iPhone's a lot more true tone. So what you see with your eyes is typically what you would get with the iPhone. You don't get that oversaturated picture. So, I mean, that said, it's not really a big deal because you get the same clarity for the most part. When you zoom in, they're both 12 megapixel cameras. You're getting almost the exact same zoom when you zoom in with your fingers if you want to see those fine details. They get grainy about the same points. So it's really not a huge advantage. But at night, there's completely different pictures that come out. The S7 Edge, without a doubt, destroys the iPhone in low light settings. Now, please, people out there that love the iPhone, don't sit here and start bashing the video, getting upset because I said it. I'm just stating facts. And the fact is, with this camera sensor, it allows so much more light in dark settings that your pictures come out so much better. And I would try to take 2 pictures of something down here in my basement, and I will post them in the video right about now. And that way you can see for yourself. So don't get upset. Don't be mad. It's just what it is. When this year's iPhone come out, I guarantee you they're going to have this low light capability as well as the Nexus 6P and the S7 Edge. They'll be comparable, if not better, okay? Apple always comes through when it comes to their cameras. But as of right now, the S7 Edge destroys the iPhone camera in low light. So, turn it back over. Both have a front-facing camera, 5 megapixels. The iPhone might be 8 megapixels front-facing. I know Samsung's is 5. They both take great shots. They're both great for FaceTime on this one, and a lot of people don't know, but Samsung has built in to their phone app almost like a FaceTime. So literally, if you call somebody, one of your friends, you can just hit the button and you start video chatting instantly. So it's a nice feature, but everybody know how to use FaceTime. It's super easy to use, and it's great. As far as the front-facing cameras, they both take decent shots. They both have what's called Retina Flash on the iPhone, or when you take a front facing, it basically turns the screen all white in its bright settings, so that in dark settings it can see your face better. Samsung has the exact same thing on this phone. I don't know what it's called. Call it the Samsung Flash. I don't know. So they both do a great job with that. So as far as the fingerprint scanner, I will say they're about equal. I prefer the iPhone's fingerprint scanner better, and the only reason why is because it's rounded. It's easier to put your finger on. Your finger covers more surface. With the S7 Edge, I feel like I'm only getting a small piece of my finger on there. Now, they both work the same speed. Let's see if we can turn these off. You got to turn both of them on by hitting the button or hitting the home button, which I hate. And then, so they both turn on. The S7 Edge is a little bit faster than the iPhone. That's been known. I'm sure that's going to change when the next iPhone drops as well. But as far as the fingerprint scanner, they both work. They work well. I just prefer the Nexus 6P fingerprint scanner first because I don't have to turn my phone on. I don't have to hit power button. I just straight put my finger on the back of it, and boom, it's on. Plus, I like the placement better. On the Nexus 6P, the fingerprint scanner is here, and I'm so used to that now. And now that I got to go back to this, it's just a little different. As far as screen qualities, night and day difference. The S7 Edge has the best screen on the market, no question. It's one of the Samsung's proprietary AMOLED screens, and it is awesome. You will find these screens in a lot of phones going forward. I know the Nexus 6P uses Samsung screens. A lot of companies actually buy screens from Samsung, but I feel like Samsung gives them their leftovers and keeps the best for them. So, the iPhone 6 Plus, don't get me wrong, the screen is more than what you will ever need, okay? It is a nice looking screen. It's just not as vivid as the S7 Edge. When you turn these up, my wife probably don't appreciate being posted all over the internet. Let me see what I got. Let's go to Yahoo. Sorry, I'm typing settings. Trying to do this with one hand is not the easiest thing. There we go. Alright, so when you look at the screens, you get a little difference on the screens, the amount of content you get per screen, and the layout. Both of these are on Yahoo. They're two different browsers, so they all look a little bit different. But for the most part, you can see that the iPhone still squeezes in a little bit more. And the S7 Edge is more of a zoomed in. And like a lot of this has to do with the browser and how the browsers are set. But when it comes to clarity, color pop, I don't know if you can see it in this picture, but there's no comparison when it comes to the screen quality of the S7 Edge versus the iPhone 6s. Okay, so what are the big things that I think that matters, people care about, and the things that's important? Let's talk about software. Okay, this is running iOS 9.2. I think I'm still at. I'm holding off so that in case of a jailbreak comes out, because I have to have a jailbroken phone or a rooted phone. Like, it drives me crazy not, but that's a different story. And this is running the latest version of Android, which is Android M. As far as software, I'm always going to be a bigger fan of the software for Apple, just because Apple controls their software 100%. Okay, from the beginning to the end, they don't let any carriers add bloatware to their phones. They don't allow you to deviate from what they have built, which is awesome. Okay, I hate it because it's a closed system, so I can't add the third-party softwares I like and do the things that I like. But from a fluidity standpoint, the iPhones will always be, in my opinion, superb to the Android software, only because carriers get involved. Carriers sit there and they add bloatware to Android. They manipulate the system. The manufacturers manipulate the system, and updates take forever. Unless you have a pure Nexus, updates take forever. Now, if you ask me about Android M from Google, like a Nexus device, or if you ask me about iPhone, I'm going to say they head to head. Because with the stock Android, it's buttery smooth, and it's only because Google controls that software to the T, and nobody else gets their hands in it. As far as app development, I would say the app development is a little bit better on iOS. I feel like you don't have as many memory leaks and issues. Because Android is an open system, people can do a vast majority of things on Android that iOS can't even get close to. They're starting to adapt. They're starting to add stuff like third-party keyboards and that type of stuff. But you still have the same layouts. Like, you can't really get into theming and all that stuff, which is kind of nice because if you buy a new phone, you want something new. And sometimes when you get the same phone over and over, the same software settings over and over, it's not a big change, right? They make increments, marginal increments sometimes, but sometimes they're very, very small increments as far as the new functionality they provide per software or by the hardware that they provide in these devices. So, but when it comes to software, I'm a huge fan of Apple. Everyone gets an update at the exact same time. They typically support their devices for at least 2 or 3 years. And it's just great. When they make a mistake, they fix it. So big ups to them. As far as the S7 Edge, like I said, a lot of it just has to do with the fact that I hate how carriers and manufacturers change Android. I'm a fan of stock Android. It runs the way it's supposed to run. The only things that's running is the things that needs to run. Well, needs to run, air quotes. If you can see it in the video, air quotes. Google adds a lot of crap to the phone sometimes that it doesn't need to have, that I also debloat. But from the majority of it, it runs the way it needs to run, which is a big deal. This right here, I'm not a fan of. TouchWiz is a lot better than it used to be. TouchWiz adds a lot of functionality. It's very user-friendly, but it still has a lot of processes and things that's eating up RAM, that's running in the background that you don't need. It's a skin layered on top of Android stock. And so although Samsung has done an excellent job with this device and TouchWiz, I still prefer Android stock. I don't use their TouchWiz. As you can see, I'm using Nova Launcher, which is the best launcher in my opinion by far when it comes to Android. And then as far as updates, I won't get updates on this phone for, I don't know, if Android N drops in October of this year, I guarantee you that we probably won't see it on the S7 Edge, the Note 6, and any other high-end smartphones. Earliest, probably December. Latest, probably March of 2017. I hate that. Now, it's not always a big deal to have the newest features, but sometimes it is. Sometimes they do push new features that's worth it, and it sucks not being able to get those features, right? So, not a fan of that at all. I hate that. I hate how Verizon AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile all adds their bloatware to the phones, which holds the updates even out further, and it just drives me absolutely bonkers. Okay, so that's why I have an Android Nexus. That's why I always will have a Nexus, is because it's pure Android. I get the updates right away. As far as fluidity, they're both amazing. No issues at all. No lag whatsoever. You know, in the S7, same as the iPhone 6s. There's no lag. So software, I think they on par. You know, 1-for-1. I think you'd be happy with the software. You're not gonna have any issues. Next, battery life. Battery life on the S7 Edge is amazing compared to the S7. S7 has a smaller battery. It has like a 3,000 milliamp battery. This has 3,600. I'm not sure the battery specs on the iPhone. I think it's 2,650 or something like that. But I will tell you on the iPhone, the battery life itself is going to last more than long enough. Okay. I think I'll say out of the two devices, I probably get better battery life with the iPhone. Now I know the Econos version of the S7 Edge, which is the international version, they're getting like 8-9 hours screen on time. I'm not getting that. I'm getting roughly about 6.5, 7 on my S7 Edge. It's heavily debloated. Since you can't root these phones, I debloated it with some tools. And because of that, I get a lot more battery life. With the iPhone, I'm getting 7 hours. I play a lot of COC, and that's what I base my battery lifetime on. Clash of Clans, for those who don't know. And they're both great battery life, but I have to give a thumbs up or a small advantage to the iPhone 6s Plus when it comes to battery life. Either way, you'd be happy with both of them. But that leads me into the next thing, which is charging. The charging time for the iPhone is about 3 hours, which I know sounds crazy, but it's true. Okay. With the S7 Edge, it's about 90 minutes. So S7 Edge has wireless charging. iPhone does not. Some people say that's not a big deal, but it's nice when you can just plop you down your device, you know, and not have to plug a cord into it. I haven't plugged the cord in my S7 Edge, and I can't tell you how long. So it's a nice feature to have. And they do have fast charging now for the S7 Edge, which is a huge thing when it comes to wireless charging. So they have fast charging, wireless charging, and fast charging, normal charging. It takes about 30 minutes. You can get about 50% battery life in your S7 Edge by charging. And about another 15 minutes on top of that, so 65 minutes, 70 minutes, you're about 80%. And then the rest of the way it sips and installs the power, and it gets to about 100% in 90 minutes. I mean, you cannot beat that. Like, this takes 3 hours. The iPhone takes 3 hours to charge. It may not seem like a lot, but if you gotta go and you only have 30 minutes to charge your phone, you got 50% with the S7 Edge. iPhone, you may have 20. So that's a huge difference. That's one of the biggest difference of why I use my S7 Edge so much and my Nexus P so much, is because when I'm clashing, I drain the battery quickly. When I need to get ready to go, I just plug it in, 30 minutes, boom, I'm back in the game. So I'm hoping that the new 2016 iPhone will at least have fast charging, just because it is a nice functionality to have. You can't knock it any way you want to. It's very, very nice to have. But that's the battery life. That's just the way it is. We all want bigger batteries, not these thin phones that they keep producing. So let's talk about Apple Pay and Samsung Pay. First, I've used both of them. To be honest, I don't use either one of them on the majority of days, just because I forget. I got my wallet with me everywhere I go. I got my credit cards. I got my license. So I just always pull out a credit card and pay for stuff. Apple Pay is great. It works at any place that has an NFC terminal and that's supported by your bank. I don't know the statistics right now, but I know a lot of places still do not have NFC terminals. So if they don't have it, you can't use Apple Pay. A lot of companies are pressing to get these terminals into U.S. stores as fast as possible. And I think within the next year, it won't really matter. You'll see them at most of the places. Overseas, that's just a common. NFC terminals is just common overseas. As far as S7, the S7 has Samsung Pay. For those who don't know what Samsung Pay is, Samsung has the same technology as the iPhone, which is using the NFC to make payments. But they also have MIS technology. Now, not to go into details of what that stands for, but they have this thing of a credit card strip inside your phone. Okay, so you insert your credit card information into your phone. Now your phone works on almost any terminal in the United States that accepts credit cards. You literally walk up Same process you do with the iPhone, and you put your phone next to the terminal, and it scans. Beep. And it's able to do that because of that MST technology that's built into the Samsungs that they acquired from a company that Apple doesn't have that functionality. So when it comes to that, there's no comparison, okay? Like, don't beat me down. It's the truth. The MST is 10 times superior than just straight NFC. Because like I said, this has NFC as well. Now, how often are you going to use them? And should this be a game changer? You know, it should sway you one way or another if you're going to buy it? Not at all. Because I don't use either one of them, to be frank with you. But it's nice having that extra functionality knowing that it's going to work at the majority of places that you go. I mean, it's hard. So, like, then you got the camera, right? So that's the next big hit. I already hit the camera. The camera basically is the same camera on the back. Daytime, you're going to get great shots. Nighttime, the S7 Edge is superior, okay? Then you got the size and build quality. The size, like I said, it's very, very similar, right? But it's a lot easier to hold. The S7 Edge is a lot easier to hold in the hands. You see, it's a lot shorter. And you put them side by side. The width of the S7 Edge is better. I'm trying to line them up exactly. There you go. And then if you look at the thinness, they're both super thin. The S7 Edge is a little bit thinner, but the thinness is not going to really deter you. It's going to be, can you hold a big phone in your hand like this? Can you reach the top and bottom of the screen? Or top, that's the bottom. It's tough. Some people can't adjust to the big setting. I have gotten used to it. I like the big phones, but some people, this may be too big. This phone is a little bit easier to reach top and bottom, right? So it's only because of how small the package is. Like, there's not a lot of extra bulk. As you see, I can get my fingers. I can squeeze my fingers with this one. With this one, it's not even really a chance. Like, I can touch, but I can't really squeeze. So that's the difference between size. The build quality, they're both well-built phones. They're both built to last, and I think they're awesome, okay? So don't get knocked in there. Now, I think one of the most important things to talk about, because some people say 3D touch, I didn't hit on. 3D touch, it doesn't really provide a lot of functionality right now. I hold the button and I can make a call, right? That's my wife. Believe it or not, Android has had this functionality for a long time, but it's software based. So you long hold something and give you a secondary action, right? This is hardware based. So the thoughts is long term, developers can use this to click in like secondary action in real time or from any screen, which will allow them to have a little more functionality. Time will tell if it's going to be a gimmick or if it's going to be something that's going to be outstanding. But right now, it's not really a big deal. Now, before you go bashing and saying that I'm beating up on Apple, the same thing can be said about Samsung, right? So Samsung has the S7 Edge functionality, which is the quick edge. Okay, you can do this from any screen you're on. You can just swipe from the side, and then you have quick edge. You got your quick contact feature. I can scroll again. This is all my applications if I want. I can have notifications when my screen is off that show on the side. Like, it seems really, really cool. It does have some functionality. I use it for like calling my wife or launching an application. But how much time does it really save me? Not much. And because it's a proprietary thing from Samsung, you got to use their SDKs. You know, a lot of people don't develop directly for Samsung. And that's why a lot of times their functions and their features don't really become a big mass thing because a lot of that stuff is proprietary. So it's like, it's not a big deal. It's nice to have. A lot of people deactivate it and turn it off. Most important, in conclusion, is the return. Now, my definition of return, I buy a lot of devices. I keep them for 6 months, if that, and then I get rid of them, okay? When you buy an iPhone, you're going to pay, let's say hypothetically, iPhone is $800, right? And let's say you buy the Samsung at the same time, and it's worth $800, and they come out the exact same day. 6 months from now, or not even 6 months, let's say 3 months from now, this phone still on eBay will be going used for about $700, if not a little bit more. This phone is probably going to be about $650, $625. Look at 6 months from now, this phone is probably $675, $680. This phone is probably $550, if not lower. And it just gets worse and worse from that point on. Why? It's because, one, A lot of people feel comfortable with iPhones. They're built to last. The updates are very, very quick. Everybody gets updates at the same time. They don't cater to what's the newest, hottest device. That one gets it first, and everybody else got to wait 6 months later. So the longevity of an iPhone is there. With Samsung devices and a lot of other devices, from a financial standpoint, it's not there. Okay, a lot of times within 2 months, the phones depreciate big time. I think right now this phone is newer, but I think you can get this phone for cheaper or the exact same price as you can get the iPhone right now off of eBay. And then this one's been around 6 months longer, and this one's only been around less than 2 months. So that shows you that from an investment standpoint, financially, there's no advantage of getting an Android device. And I'm just being frank with you, okay? If you're a person to keep your device for 2 years, fine, it's not a big deal. But I say again, if you're a person who typically switches out every year, or even after 2 years, the iPhone is going to be worth more money. It's just the way it is. There's a bigger population of people who want iDevices that are willing to pay that premium for them, especially when the longevity is there for that phone. So that's something to keep in mind. As far as like functionality, ease of use, all that type of stuff, these days they're so similar as far as the softwares that yes, iPhone is basically cut and dry. It hasn't changed much. Anyone can use it, okay? They made it for the simplicity. Android has adapted that simplicity model, but it still allows you to have that functionality where you can do a lot of extra things. You can sit there and you can theme your phones. You can change the fonts. You can change the keyboards. You can change the layouts. You can change the launchers. You can change whatever you want to change. For the most part, you can do with Android as long as it doesn't require root. Whereas Apple is a little more restrictive when it comes to a lot of those key functionalities. Is it a game changer? No. For people who use their phone and just want a straight phone, easy to text, don't have to do much, then the iPhone is perfect, okay? Not knocking it. I'm saying from a simplicity standpoint, the iPhone is a great phone. For those who want a little added functionality, from an innovation standpoint, have some of the newer features like wireless charging, fast charging, Type USB-C for the phones that have Type USB-C, waterproofing. That's one thing I totally missed. This has waterproofing. I can drop this in the tub. I can go swimming with this phone up to a meter, like for 30 minutes. This phone is going to be fine. You pour water champagne on this, you seen a Lil Wayne commercial? This phone is not going to be fine. You're going to have problems long term. Little stuff like that sways you to go towards the S7 because it gives you that added functionality and some of those features that is really, really, really cool to have. But in the end, the winner between the two is a tie because it really depends on who you are, which you want to use your phone. As I stated, if you're a person who wants something simple, something that's easy to use, something that's the longevity is there, you're going to grab this iPhone without a doubt. If you're a person who wants the latest technology, the slimmest profile, the waterproofing, the fast charging, you like Android and some of the functionality, then you want to go here. From a security standpoint, it don't matter which one you go with. They didn't root the Note 5 for the Verizon and AT&T model. They still haven't rooted that phone. That phone has been out since October. The iPhone's been rooted / jailbreaked, meaning they found security exploits in here that allowed them to gain system access and implement the stuff that they want. Now, you have to do this type of hacking yourself on a global scale. Nothing big happening between either phone, but I'm showing you that either one of them can maybe one day be accessed, but they're both really, really locked down phones these days, and it's only getting better as far as from a security standpoint. So, if you're into that, then do that. The only other thing I would throw is if you're a person who loves rooting, you love ROMing, you love all that cool stuff, then you want a Nexus. You don't want either one of these devices because only the Nexus is one out there, or Google Play Editions out there that guarantee you that you're going to be able to unlock your phone, unlock your bootloader, start rooting, start ROMing, enjoying all the third-party stuff that you can't get from Google and these other sites. So, I know it's been a lengthy video. It's my longest video ever, but like I said, don't get so tied into the marketing. Don't get so tied into everything else. You are who you are and you want what you want. And base the phones off of what you think will be best for you. It's your boy, Tech B Swift. Please follow me at Twitter. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me at Instagram or wherever else you want to follow.